If you want to understand why someone's blood sugar spirals out of control, don't start with their glucose numbers. Don't even start with their A1C. Start with the health of their pancreas. Specifically, how many functional insulin-producing beta cells they still have working. By the time a type 2 diabetes diagnosis is made, many people have already lost a significant portion of their beta cell mass. Conventional medicine often focuses on managing that outcome rather than exploring the underlying biology. What if certain seeds, ones you can buy for under $5 at any grocery store, have been studied for their potential to support healthy blood glucose, improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level, and possibly help protect the beta cells you still have? Most people with type 2 diabetes have been told this is a progressive condition that only gets worse, and that their job is to manage it with medication. After years in emergency medicine and studying metabolism, I've come to appreciate something that nuances that belief. The pancreas isn't entirely static. There's emerging research into its capacity for some degree of cellular support, and diet may play a meaningful supporting role alongside medical care, not as a replacement for it. Hi, I'm a physician and metabolism researcher. In emergency medicine, I saw the late-stage consequences of long-term uncontrolled blood sugar, strokes, kidney failure, neuropathy, amputations. Those cases pushed me to look more closely at what evidence-informed nutrition could add to standard diabetes care. Today, I want to share what the research suggests, with the caveat that none of this replaces medical treatment, monitoring, or your doctor's guidance. In this video, I'll cover why researchers believe diet-based interventions may support pancreatic health, several seed-based compounds studied for their effects on blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, the proposed biological pathways behind them, and a practical morning routine to discuss with your doctor. Now, think about the pancreas a little differently than usual. Most people picture it as a simple glucose thermostat, reads blood sugar, releases insulin, done. A more useful way to think about it is as a production facility, with beta cells as the workers making insulin. When it's running well, production matches demand. Over years, chronic low-grade inflammation can wear down that system. Some cells lose function, others become overworked, compensating. That combination of insulin resistance and beta cell strain is central to type 2 diabetes. Here's a detail that doesn't get enough attention. The pancreas contains progenitor cells that, under certain conditions, may be capable of taking on some beta cell function. This process, sometimes called beta cell neogenesis, has been studied mostly in animal models and some early human tissue research. It's a promising area, but still developing. Claims of guaranteed reversal in humans go beyond what current evidence supports. It's worth being honest about that gap, because a lot of nutrition content online blurs the line between animal studies suggest a mechanism and this is proven to work in people. Both are worth knowing about, but they aren't the same thing, and conflating them can lead people to make decisions, like stopping medication, that aren't supported by the evidence. One compound of interest is trigonelline, an alkaloid in fenugreek seeds. Some research suggests it may influence PDX1, a protein involved in beta cell development. Fenugreek also contains a soluble fiber called galactomannan, which forms a gel in the digestive tract and can slow glucose absorption after meals. Not block it, slow it. A slower glucose rise generally means gentler insulin demand, which may ease strain on existing beta cells. 4 pathways researchers have proposed for how these compounds might support blood sugar biology. First, possible support for beta cell function through PDX1-related activity, an area of ongoing research, not an established treatment, since human clinical evidence remains limited. Second, glucose buffering through viscous fiber. Galactomannan forms a gel-like matrix in the small intestine that can slow glucose entering the bloodstream. Some studies link this to reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes, potentially meaning less insulin demand and less stress on beta cells over time. Third, AMPK activity and insulin sensitivity. Black seed, Nigella sativa, contains thymoquinone, studied as a potential activator of AMPK, an enzyme involved in cellular energy regulation. Increased AMPK activity may let muscle cells take up glucose through pathways that don't rely solely on insulin. Fourth, oxidative stress and beta cell protection. Beta cells appear especially vulnerable to oxidative stress because they have relatively low levels of their own antioxidant enzymes, and chronic oxidative stress has been linked to beta cell dysfunction. Flaxseed is rich in lignans and alpha-linolenic acid, studied for their potential to reduce inflammatory signaling connected to this damage. There's a genuine, growing body of research, including randomized trials, on fenugreek, flaxseed, blackseed, and chia in relation to fasting glucose, insulin sensitivity, and inflammatory markers in people with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Results vary in size and consistency. Sample sizes are often modest, and reported effects range from small to moderate, not a cure or guaranteed reversal. If you want to look into the primary research, PubMed is a good starting point. Check sample size, duration, and funding, rather than relying on secondhand summaries, including this one. It's also worth noticing whether a study measured hard outcomes like A1C over months or just short-term lab markers, since the two don't always tell the same story. Here's a general morning approach some people discuss with their healthcare providers, based on doses used in research. Treat it as a starting point for a conversation with your doctor or dietitian, not a prescription, especially if you're on diabetes medication, since combining these seeds with certain drugs can increase hypoglycemia risk. Fenugreek seeds, roughly a heaping teaspoon, soaked overnight in water for at least 8 hours, then eaten directly or blended into a smoothie. Soaking is thought to improve availability of the active compounds. Heavy roasting may reduce their content. The taste is naturally bitter. Ground flaxseed, roughly 2.5 tablespoons, every morning. Ground, not whole, since whole flax largely passes through undigested. Store it refrigerated in an airtight container, since it can go rancid. Black seed, Nigella sativa, around half a teaspoon, as cold-pressed oil or lightly toasted and crushed whole seeds. Avoid high heat, which may degrade the active compound, and check with your doctor first given possible medication interactions. Chia seeds, about a tablespoon, soaked in a few tablespoons of water for at least 15 minutes, forming a gel that may help slow glucose absorption at breakfast. Optional additions: a small amount of Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia, which has higher coumarin levels, stirred into coffee or oatmeal, linked in some research to modest insulin sensitivity improvements, and a cup or two of green tea brewed with water that isn't boiling, without dairy milk, which may bind some antioxidants. A few practical notes. Pairing your largest carbohydrate meal with these fiber-rich seeds beforehand may enhance glucose buffering. Track fasting glucose at a consistent time each morning for a cleaner baseline. Any effects tend to unfold over weeks to months, not days, since most studies run 8 to 16 weeks. Pairing flaxseed with turmeric and black pepper is a commonly discussed absorption combination. Visceral fat reduction is consistently linked to improved insulin sensitivity, independent of other changes. Consistent moderate intake is generally preferred over very high doses, which can cause digestive discomfort without added benefit. And whole or ground seeds are generally preferred over isolated supplements. Common mistakes: using whole flax instead of ground, since it largely passes through undigested, expecting changes within the first couple of weeks, when effects, if any, tend to show up gradually over months. Assuming a supplement capsule directly substitutes for the whole seed, since isolating one compound from a food changes how it behaves in the body. And expecting any seed routine to offset a diet otherwise high in ultra-processed carbohydrates and refined sugar. If this helps at all, it works alongside broader dietary changes, not instead of them. None of these seeds are a shortcut around the basics of a balanced diet, regular movement, and sleep, all of which independently affect insulin sensitivity. To be clear, type 2 diabetes management should stay under your doctor's guidance. These seeds are widely available, generally well tolerated at food-level amounts, and reflect an active area of nutrition research. But they are not a proven cure, and reversal claims outpace what current evidence solidly supports for most people. If you're on insulin or blood sugar-lowering medication, talk to your doctor before adding meaningful amounts of any of these, since combined effects could lower blood sugar more than expected. If this was useful, consider sharing it with someone managing type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. Many people haven't heard much about food-based support alongside their treatment plan, and it's a conversation worth having with a doctor, rather than skipping straight to a new routine on their own. Thanks for watching.